Hi everyone, it's Sid here from Fundamental Research, and our guest today is Ash Guglani, co-founder and president of Nexe Innovations. We initiated coverage on Nexe last May. Nexe is an eco-friendly packaging company targeting the $450 billion global coffee market. They've developed a compostable plant-based material for packaging and is currently targeting the coffee market with their single-use coffee pods. They've raised over $70 million in equity and government grants and recently closed a $35 million bought deal financing. So the agenda for today is I'll kick off the call with our thoughts on the need and demand for eco-friendly solutions and opportunities in the space. And Ash will take over from there and introduce us to his company and their rollout plans. Here are some key disclaimers. Please take a moment. Okay, so let's get started. More than 80% of investors are looking to increase their allocation in ESG investment, which is environmental, social, and corporate governance investment next year. And now this is up from 74% in the prior year. Sustainable funds attracted record inflow of capital last year. You can see from the chart the significant increase in trend over the last 3-4 years. Global ESG assets was the total about $23 trillion in 2016, and this figure is expected to reach $53 trillion by 2025, which will account for almost a third of the total assets under management. We also took some data from a recent survey. When asked, investors stated that plastic reduction and climate change are the two most high priority areas when it comes to ESG investing. Sales of sustainable products in the US is expected to reach $145 billion this year, up from $107 billion 7 years ago. So you can clearly see the trend on ESG investing and also the demand or companies moving to sustainable products, especially the trend started picking up in the 2015, 2016 time period. Now, FMCG companies are actively investing and seeking eco-friendly solutions, and one of the key focus areas. One of the key areas that they're targeting is sustainable packaging. For example, Nestle recently announced plans to spend $2.1 billion to shift its packaging from plastics to recycled materials. The global market for sustainable packaging is expected to be over $410 billion by 2027, up from $259 billion in 2019. The key drivers of this demand, of this market, are expected to be growing consumer awareness on sustainable packaging and increasing regulations regarding the use of plastics. With that, I would like to welcome Ash, co-founder and president of Nexe. Ash, you'll be able to share your screen. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, thanks, Sid. All right, well, everyone, welcome to Nexe's investor presentation here. This presentation is actually on our website. I'm going to rifle through some of the main points in the next 10 minutes, as well as kind of highlight some of the upcoming catalysts for the company, which will bring some excitement. Your usual disclaimers you see on every presentation. So what is Nexe Innovations? We use advanced manufacturing technologies to create compostable innovations to replace everyday single-use plastics. Our focus right now is a single-serve coffee pod market. Mainly, we're working on a fully compostable Keurig capsule, which we've released with our Zoma superfood. We'll be releasing a fully compostable Keurig coffee capsule shortly, or in the fall, and then we'll be releasing a fully compostable espresso pod for that's compatible with the Nespresso original line later this month. So lots of exciting things coming up for Nexe. Just a little background on global plastic crisis. 365 million tons of plastic is produced year over year. I know Sid mentioned recyclability. Unfortunately, less than 9% of all recyclable plastics are actually recycled. And the reason for that is it requires a lot of human interaction to make sure something is recycled. And that's why a lot of Recyclable plastics and regular plastics end up in the environment, mainly in our landfills and oceans. And, that's why we feel our solution with a compostable capsule is the best solution for single serve coffee pods, because all our materials are compostable, as well as the coffee grounds in the pods are used for are also compostable. Problem with plastic pods: 56 billion plus pods are discarded into the landfill every year. About 59 billion pods are consumed, and 56 billion is going to the landfills. Yeah, there's a big problem there. Global plastic bans that have created opportunities for innovation for companies like Nexe since 2015. As you can see, as more bans come, our product and our mission and our initiatives become way more important. Global coffee market, it's massive, 102 billion in 2019, expected to go to 155 billion by 2026. Some of the changes in the global coffee market, as some of you may have noticed over the last while, everyone's drinking coffee at home. If you're noticing, your local Starbucks are all shutting down, and Starbucks is focusing more on a at-home coffee service. So, for Nexe, selling single serve coffee pods, we will be entering a strong market with our products, as well as following through with subscription-based models a little bit later down the road. Single serve coffee pod market, as I mentioned, 59 billion pods are consumed, 8.5% compounded growth per year. So why hasn't there been a smart compostable coffee pod that has emerged as a category killer? Challenging engineering. There's a reason why you don't see a lot of compostable pods. Compromised taste, meaning the pods don't taste great because of just the technology behind it and the materials. And they're still produce some of the pods, even though they're deemed compostable, may still produce microplastics upon breakdown. Our solution is plant-based, fully compostable, no compromise. We've done science, or we've made sure that the science backs our technology. We've done ecotoxicity studies. We've done independent compostability studies that show really promising results for what we're doing. And we've been doing this for 5 years. This is a very challenging project. We have a lot of IP, not just around our capsule, but around our machineries. All our machinery is highly customized. We've invested in every process along that production line to make sure we can make this capsule. These materials we're using are very finicky. And what we've learned over the last 5 years, once we bring in the platform this year to have 150 plus million pods, we'll be able to use that what we've learned from this technology into other formats like yogurt capsules, makeup jars, things like that. As I mentioned, we have scientific and commercial validation. I will mention our pods at a commercial facility have shown that they can break down in as little as 35 days, but on average, depending on the organic waste facility, it'll break down in 70 days. Just some facts about our pods. It's great to have a compostable pod, but it's even better to have a compostable pod that actually tastes great. If the coffee doesn't taste great, this would be a pointless mission in my eyes. It's great to have a compostable pod, but the coffee has to taste great. We're actually able to get more volume in it because of some of the IP we have around inside of our capsule. And that's going to be a big selling feature for us. And that's why we're getting a lot of attention from a lot of big companies. And, the big thing is we're waiting for our scaled platform to come through over the course of through the next few quarters here through Q1. Monetization strategy, as some of you may have known, we've launched a superfoods line, which is more focused on health and wellness. You'll see us launch a espresso pod here shortly, and probably in the fall you'll see us launch our K-Cup coffee. It's great what we've done with Zoma Superfoods to validate our product, get it in people's hands, but I think what everybody's waiting for is coffee. They're waiting for our espresso pods. They're waiting for our K-Cup coffee pods. And once we launch those throughout this year here and bring in that scale, maybe later in the year, early next year, you'll see us start looking at co-packing agreements with some of the companies we're talking to. As I mentioned, there's massive distribution in coffee with almost 60 billion pods sold. So this this industry is ready for disruption, and we are that disruptive force. And as we show we could scale this long term, we will look at licensing our technology to larger brands. Just a little bit about Zoma Superfoods. We've launched a MCT coffee, a mushroom coffee, a keto coffee. We've got some more SKUs coming. I think we've got a turmeric coffee, as well as a hot cocoa coming that fit within that Zoma Superfoods health and wellness side. This is just talking about our in-house product and marketing. We've launched on Amazon. We're working with groups like Orca Pacific. We're signing up with another group here very shortly that we'll be working with on our espresso launch for Amazon, as well as our own Nexe coffee site. As I mentioned, with 5 years of 5 years of experience using these materials, we'll be able to transfer this to other additional products later down the road. But our focus really is on nailing coffee, and this is kind of our approach to everything. As I said, this deck is available on our website. You could read through it anytime you like. As I mentioned, our goal is to get to capacity about 200 million pods, about 170 million pods on the K-Cup side, and about 50 million pod production capacity on the Nespresso side, or on the espresso pod side. If you look on average, K-Cups and Nespresso's pods are sold anywhere from 60 cents, depending on the taste profile and the volume, all the way up to $1. Our product should be sold probably in that mid-range, probably about 80 cents, anywhere from 80 to 90 cents, or maybe a little bit lower depending on the market. But really, we're going to focus on having higher grammage in our coffee capsules, so we should be at the higher end of that market. This is something interesting. One of the cool things with what we're doing with Nespresso, or with our espresso pods, is everything's made in Canada. We've got all the ingredients from Nebraska. We're going to be extruding it and injection molding it all at site. So being vertically integrated is very important. It allows us to keep control of our IP, as well as our trade secrets and secret sauces around how we make these capsules. This is going to be very important as we scale the business, not just for K-Cup, but as well as espresso. But with espresso, it will be a full made in Canada solution right out the gate. As I mentioned, we have a lot of IP. We have 20 plus patent applications, and as we grow this portfolio and we get more products on the shelf, this will become more and more valuable and allow us to get into other verticals and protect ourselves as we get into those verticals. This is our commercial facility. We've got 20,000 square feet out in Surrey, BC. And we plan to obviously expand beyond just Surrey. We'll be probably putting a facility on the East Coast, as well as maybe the Midwest US over the next few years. Leadership team, myself, Darren Foots, Zach Hudson, as well as automation and marketing partners here. Our board of directors, Haitham Hodele, who comes from public markets. He's a corporate VP of corporate development over at Wheaton Precious Metals. Graham Gilly comes from a governance background, and Killian Ruby, who comes from an accounting background as well for public companies. We've, as Sid mentioned, we have received a lot of support from the government. We've received almost 5 million in grants and contributions since we've begun this process. And as we get into more parallels, we'll be able to look at additional government grants and contributions as we get into other products. This is our cap table, pretty clean, I think, fully diluted. We'll be at about 117. We have 50 million in cash. So, where we're trading right now, I think is a great value proposition, with especially everything we've got going on over the next 6 months with 2 different product launches, and then to scale those. And, we're also going to be looking at other product initiatives as we show scale on our coffee side. And that is our presentation. I will also mention, we've got, like I mentioned, we'll have an espresso launch here shortly. We'll be launching our K-Cup coffee in the fall, and throughout Q1, we'll be scaling our business, and that's when you'll start seeing a lot more excitement around partnerships. We may also be looking at some acquisitions. So, we're in a good position with 50 million in the till to execute on all this. There is no financing risk for this company. It's got all this. It's got sufficient capital. It has all the capital it needs to really execute on the business. And we're making some key hires as we speak that are that'll help not only commercialize but scale this business very quickly.
Thank you so much, Ash. We can now open the call to a Q&A. Listeners, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in, or you can click on the raise hand option. I can unmute you. So Ash, while I compile the list of questions, maybe you can talk about the management's share positions, because one of the things that we look for in our analysis is management skin in the game. And we noticed that yourself and Darren combined own about 15-17% of the shares outstanding. So maybe you want to expand on that?
Yeah, correct. So yeah, no, I mean, we do own a good piece of the company. I actually continue to buy stock. I've bought stock 2 weeks ago. I bought another 40,000 shares. And, if obviously when we don't have blackout periods, you'll see me continue to buy more of our stock. I think it's valued, it's undervalued right now. And, as I mentioned, with a lot of the catalysts coming up, and as we make these key hires and really start marketing and getting the PR going, I think, Nexe is a real disruptive force, not just for the next 6 months, but for the next 5 to 10 years in compostable packaging.
Okay. So maybe we can start with the pricing. Are your parts priced competitively, or is it in line?
Yeah.
So, maybe you can talk a little about, yes.
Sure. No, our products will be fairly priced. Like I said, I mentioned earlier, I mean, you see K-Cups priced anywhere from 65 cents all the way up to, and I'm talking Canadian terms, all the way up to $1.10 on some of the Starbucks products. We'll be priced in that mid-range. Especially with our own in-house brand launches. But as I did mention, one of the keys to our K-Cup launches, we'll actually be able to get more coffee in our pods than most conventional pods out there. And that's what really helps with the extraction and making sure that it tastes really good. With Nexe and what we have at site, we are a full stop shop. So, we're able to roast coffee, grind coffee, fill it, seal it, dose it, and send it out the door. So when we do start opening up to partnerships, as we show we have scale in-house, people will be able to send us their green bean, and we'll be able to roast it and send it out the door. So again, pricing will be probably around that 80-cent level. So it'll be very fairly priced, and especially out the gate here, we will be looking at as we scale espresso as well as our K-Cup coffee, we will be looking at subscription-based models.
Okay, and about cost, 80 cents. What would it cost you to manufacture a pod?
It would be probably, let's just say, I think our net margin will be around that 30% range. But as we actually show scale, and as we start becoming more vertically integrated, meaning we're not getting production molds from Asia, and we're doing everything in house, you'll see that you'll see that margin expand.
Is that in line with competitors? What are the typical margins in the space?
Yeah, it is in line with competitors. And I think as we scale our business, especially since the cost of plastic's been going through the roof, Sid, over the last 2 years, we'll be in line and maybe even better as we scale this product.
Okay. Another question is regarding your revenue model. I know you mentioned about that in the earlier. Is it licensing, royalties, or are you going to get into the manufacturing pods business?
I think, as I mentioned, we've spent 5 years really understanding how this material works and then how it works at high speed. For us to look at licensing and royalty deals, we'll do it after we could show we could scale this business, because we want to make sure if we enter any royalty licensing deals, we understand the technology and how it works at high speed and at scale better, or we want to make sure we understand it before just handing it over to a partner who is not an expert in our materials or how this stuff is made. So, how our manufacturing equipment is made. So yes, long term it is a part of our business. Will be, especially if we want to be disruptive, the distributions out there, we will look at licensing models.
After coffee, what are the key markets that you can target?
After coffee, we've had a lot of interest. We've been approached to do yogurt cups. We've been approached to do cosmetic trays, or sorry, cosmetic jars. We've been approached to do even protein jars recently. I think it'll be case by case in figuring out what makes sense. But the beauty is what we have at site now is the ability to do rapid prototyping between 3D printing and injection molding. So we'll be able to make decisions a lot quicker than actually waiting for a sample mold to be made out of Asia and waiting for that to come back to us. So I think we'll stick in the food space, but you never know. I think with what we're doing, and once we show we could scale this, I think Next will become a household name for not just coffee but other products as well.
Okay. Next one is have the majors seen your pods? What has been their feedback so far?
Yeah, no, we've had talks with obviously the two big ones that we mentioned with Kerrigan and Espresso. I think with everyone, they think the technology is very interesting. They're people are blown away at how quickly this thing composts, and they're very excited about the fact that we've got our own IP around our pod that allows us to get better volume, which also allows us to make a better cup of coffee, especially with our extraction technologies. But I think with a lot of people, everyone's waiting to see that we could scale this thing. So this is a very pivotal year for Nexe over the next 12 months as we bring in all this equipment from Europe. I'm actually heading to Europe in a couple of weeks to, I'm hoping, knock on wood, there's no issues with this Delta variant, but I'd love to bring this first line over from Italy and start showing that we can scale this product as well as the Nespresso side. So I think a lot of guys are, a lot of our competition and potential partners later down the road are waiting for us to show we could scale this business.
How exactly would you show that? So maybe are you looking at 1 million pods or?
No, I think people want us they want us to show that we could scale K-Cup and Nespresso to over 100 million pods each, right? Have that capacity in house and show that these machines are running efficiently. And I think that becomes a game changer. But like I said, having that capacity in house to do over 200 million pods, it's still a drop in the bucket versus the size of the overall addressable market of 60 billion pods.
Okay. Another question. What are your thoughts on Nespresso's recycling bag program?
I think they're doing a great job, obviously, with the marketing side, but again, it requires a lot of human effort. It requires you to call. It requires, I know people who actually sometimes do walk down to their closest Nespresso center and drop off the bags. And, even with that whole process, there's no guarantee that a lot of this stuff's getting recycled. And I think Nespresso's made note of that. And as I mentioned, the problem you have is there's a lot of variables when it comes to recycling. And, that's the difference between compostable versus recyclable. The whole purpose of, if you think about the single serve market in general, the whole purpose was supposed to be convenience, right? You drink the pod and you dispose of it. It just got way too big. So what we're able to do with the compostable pod is we're bringing convenience back to single serve coffee, right? Because right now, if you ever try to decompose a K-Cup, you got to rip the lid off. That goes in the garbage, or a recyclable K-Cup, sorry. That goes in the garbage. You got to take the coffee grounds out of it, throw that in the in the green bin. You got to rip the filter out, and then the shell maybe gets recycled because it's still a process because it requires a lot of human interaction. So look, I think Nespresso is doing all the right things to come up with a green solution, but it's like I said, you still require a lot of human interaction.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that same page. It's more convenient. You always want to have compostable solutions than getting consumers to go and return your parts and then recycling. You just can't expect everyone to do that.
Yeah, right? Everyone's busy. Like,
Yes.
everybody's got their own life to live, and sitting there calling to have your recyclable pods get picked up and maybe get recycled, probably not the best use of your time.
Yeah, and I guess also in terms of the larger players looking at you, they also have internal R&D departments working on similar solutions. Do you get some insights on where they are at? Are they looking outside for your technology or similar? Just to go and
I think that's an interesting question. The problem with these big companies is they have a mandate to improve the bottom line, and that trumps all R&D, and I think that's why there's a lot of greenwashing with recyclability, right? And I think that's why I think there are a lot of eyes on our on what we're doing and our technology, and I think once we show we could scale it, you'll see some real activity there.
Okay. Another question. This is more like a longer term question. I think how long before you start seeing meaningful revenue?
I'm thinking, so our fiscal year is June to June. So, I'm thinking this year you'll start seeing, in that 5 to 8 million range, but I think it's going to be really 20 or the next fiscal year, fiscal 2023, which is June 2022 to June 2023. That's when you're really going to start seeing this thing ramp up, right? I mean, I'm being conservative when I say this as well, but I think, look, with what we're doing with capital, with the capital we have on hand, making this all about automation and marketing, it's going to be a big win. And I think it'll be a lot quicker than some of the conservative numbers I'm giving you. But to stay on the conservative side, I think it'll be fiscal 2023, which is June 2022 to May 31st, 2023 was when you start seeing in that high 30s or maybe into the 40 million range. But yeah, like I said, I think for us it's really build the platform and then fill it as quick as possible.
Looking into the manufacturing process of Nexe, I don't know if you're allowed to, or if you're going to give us any information on the raw materials that you use for your parts, but how good is the supply chain for the manufacturing process? Is it obtaining raw materials? Is there enough supply of those? Maybe a little bit of color on that.
Yeah. So look, I mean, we're using PLA as well as some other materials. Right now, we work with NatureWorks as well as some, actually mainly NatureWorks. This is a very important product to NatureWorks. They don't want to keep supplying plastic or compostable forks and knives that don't really break down in facilities or in industrial compost facilities. So I think, for us, I don't expect any major issues on our supply chain when it comes to the ingredients that we need to really push this product. I think this is a very important initiative that the company's launched with our compostable our compostable technology, and I think our partners really recognize what we're doing, and they want to be a part of that. So I think we do have strong relationships on the supply chain side for our materials.
Okay, the final two questions. When does Nexe anticipate obtaining BPI certification for the parts?
Now that we know everything works and we've done our independent studies, I think you'll see that over the next couple quarters. We have one of our PhDs working on it full time, but I don't expect any issues there because I know our pod breaks down in an industrial compost facility.
Okay, the final question is regarding the use of funds on the recent 35 million financing. How long will it last?
Well, look, I mean, we want to be aggressive in growth, but we also want to be prudent with our capital. That's why we own a lot. We've got 50 million in the till. We have assets over $10 million that we don't have any debt against. That will last us quite a bit of time. Like, even if you look at our burn rates, probably about $250,000 a month right now, all in. So I don't expect us running out of money. And as we show execution. Guys, as we show execution here, we've got another probably, I think it's about 30 million in warrant money that we should be able to exercise over the next couple years here. So capital-wise, I think we're in a great position, and we've always been prudent, and will continue to be prudent and aggressive at the same time to move this product forward as quick as possible.
So how much are you spending on marketing these days?
Right now, I mean, we're pretty quiet because we've been waiting for this espresso launch. So once we kind of get this espresso launch, we're going to really do. We're going to get going on product marketing as well as PR. You'll see that a lot more. As I mentioned, I'm doing an interview with Forbes tomorrow. So no, look, I mean, it's been a quiet summer, but the quiet is more just to get everything organized for this espresso launch. I think it's going to be a big driver for our company, and then get prepared to do a K-Cup coffee launch later in the year, or later in the fall. So yeah, you will start seeing this company get a lot busier on the PR front and the marketing front.
Okay, I don't see any more questions, Ash. It was really helpful. Thank you so much for taking time to have a chat with us, give us insights on what you've been up to. I also want to thank everyone on the call for taking time today. A recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel shortly. Please ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also sign up to be a member of our platform, researchfrc.com. You can access all of our reports in Nexe, all of our other reports, industry reports, and of course, you'll be able to see our list of top picks. Thanks again, and wish you all the best and stay safe.